Hi, and welcome to this Impetus interview, a series of conversations where we showcase the projects recognised by the EU Prize for Citizen Science. This time, we're joined by Irene Lapuente from the Obstetric Coevolution project, a citizen science initiative that's focusing on enhancing women's mental health during and after childbirth. The project received an honourable mention at the 2024 EU Prize for Citizen Science, but Impetus has also a very close relationship with the project as they've continued to be part of the Impetus Accelerator both last year as a Kickstarter and this time in 2024 as a sustaining project. So just thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
So just as a quick introduction, I was just wondering if you could describe kind of the main objectives of the Obstetric Coevolution project, also known as OBSCO, if I'm correct. Just maybe slightly less of a tongue twister than the full name. But yeah, if you could just describe the main objectives of the project and how you hope to use citizen science to address the issues around postpartum depression and obstetric practices.
We know that 1 in 6 women experience postpartum depression, and we believe that's a lot because it also has adverse implications for both for women and for newborns, and also the relationship between them. So what we are looking for is to improve the childbirth experience through co-evolving obstetric practices. No, as Simone Weil said, we need to focus a bit more on mental health and its important consequences, because at the moment obstetrics are more focused on the physical aspects and the security, the risks, but they are not taking into consideration, okay, what's the mother experience and what that it means to the development of facts after the child is born.
So it's somewhat kind of collecting experiences from newborn mothers, people who've just recently given birth, and collecting their experiences to showcase them in using this citizen science practice, I suppose.
Well, we use their experiences, but we are also looking for challenges like, okay, every woman had a different experience, but there is a pattern that all of them felt less in one moment or had troubles. Like, for example, there is a lot of fear going to the delivery, and that's a problem because we shouldn't go with fear. We should be confident and feeling good. And from seeing those challenges, we are trying to improve the service. So we are thinking more like service design research and trying. That's why we say co-evolve, because what we are looking for is, okay, there is a little bit known about what they call it obstetric violence. We want to go deeper on that, but we also want to change that. And that's why we need citizens, because we want to co-evolve these practices together.
So yeah, you talk about using the citizen science approach to co-evolve your methodologies. I was just wondering if you could take a little bit of time just to describe that process. I know that you worked with healthcare professionals and newborn mothers to develop some aspects of your project, and I was just wondering, yeah, if you could talk about the first stages of this co-evolution process.
Yeah, we started 2023, and the first thing we did is we ran 5 co-creation workshops. First, we did 2 co-creation workshops with mothers, and they were focused on empathy. We wanted to, as you say, listen to these women and know how their experience was, the needs, all the problems they had, all the good things they had, because also good experiences help us to identify where not such a good experience is. And then we did another empathy session with professionals, because we thought it was better to separate them in this phase of the process, because there was sensitive information and maybe there were 2 different approaches. So the empathy workshops, we run them separately, but then we put them together on ideation and test workshops. And it was during these 3 first empathy workshops that we identified the challenges. During the ideation, we proposed 4 proposals to be improved, and we are working on them now. And on the test, we also test the survey. We did an 85-question survey that we ran, and 400 women reply. So we also have information from them.
How many citizen scientists, maybe both the mothers and the healthcare professionals, how many were involved in this co-evolution process? And yeah, what was the selection process like for having these people take part in these empathy workshops?
In the empathy workshops, we had 20 mothers and 10 professionals. Then we kept them, most of them, although it was open to new mothers that they came and they couldn't come the first one, and then they decided to come to ideation or to test. But in total, we worked with a group of 30 people, more or less. And then the survey, we had over 400 answers.
So that's a fantastic number and very impressive to hear, just sort of like getting all this feedback from all these new and expecting mothers. And what were some of the main findings from these 400 survey participants? I don't know, were you surprised at all by any of the results you found, or were they, I don't know, in line with the information that you sort of gathered from the empathy workshops in the first round of the co-evolution process?
When we started the project, we had this idea that we had a question how obstetric practices influence women's mental health, but we had this hypothesis that we believe most medicalized birth would have more mental health consequences, and it'll be worse for the mother. And we are happy in a sense that that's true. If you are able to have a more natural birth, then mothers feel more empowered and they feel better. So, but at the same time, we also found some things that they were common in all of the women. For example, before starting the project, we interviewed some women to see if it made sense to make a project like this. And some of them, they told us things like with shyness, like I would have loved to meet the people who were with me, the professionals who were with me during the delivery, but that was impossible. But of course, maybe it's too much to ask. And then we saw many women asking that. So it's like, okay, maybe this is not so, it's impossible. And if it's impossible, we have to look for the way, no? If it's the will, there is the way, then we have to look for the way. And also we found that there are things that they repeat, as I say. For example, many women have fear before delivery, and this is not very good because it makes us more vulnerable. When you have fear, then anything they do to stop you, this fear is okay, and we should be confident, aware of what's going to happen. Of course, there is some uncertainty. No, we don't know exactly how it's going to happen, but it's a natural process. The first time you as a child, you use the bathroom, you don't know how it's going to go either, but you don't go with fear, you go with a smile on your face. And then we saw that there is lack of bidirectional communication. At the moment, professionals and mothers are not teaming, they are not together in the same team to get something. They are different teams, and this is not good. There is the medicalization, it's quite high. We'll see that it's higher than what OMS WHO recommends. And then there is a feeling of postpartum loneliness, and not just for mothers, also for professionals, because if you are a good professional and it was a very difficult delivery, you want to know what happened after that. You perform something, the mother was suffering or whatever, the child, and then you know nothing. As a professional, is a bit confusing, and also you can't heal that. You don't know if you're doing well. So there is a lot of postpartum loneliness. And then mental problems that at the beginning we centralized a lot in postpartum depression. We saw that they were wider, and it was very important to include post-traumatic stress disorder, because when mothers had a bad experience giving birth, what happens is they have stress because they have a trauma. And those 5 points, it was very nice to check that they were being taken in consideration by other professionals. There is a group of obstetricians who are working here in Catalonia to try to improve the service, and they were very happy in one presentation that we did, because it resonated a lot with them, and they say, wow, you got in 6 months what we've been working in years. And that was very for me, it was something very nice to hear.
No, that's really fascinating. Yeah, and it's interesting because depending on where you are, I suppose the infrastructure for uh, the preparations for giving birth and afterwards might be different, I suppose. So I know you have like antenatal classes kind of in the run up to giving birth, and then you might have like groups and community groups where new parents can get together afterwards. But it sounds like, yeah, there's somewhat a need for both a little bit more education just about the process. Try not to make it sound too clinical, but the act of giving birth and what to expect there, but also, I don't know, more cross interactions between the healthcare professionals, the doctors, the midwives, the doulas, both before and after childbirth, I suppose. And yeah, having that kind of follow-up kind of process, I suppose, would provide, yeah, reassurance about that the mothers and the parents are both doing well and still like, yeah, following up on their mental health, I suppose.
Yeah, it's good to remember that mothers, when they're giving birth, they are not patients, they are not sick. It's a natural process. It's something that it happens, no? Like other mammals also give birth. So there is a human part of this. And sometimes medicine, we know that they have this gender bias, and it's not treating women issues as the same level as male issues, but also we are focusing a lot on technology, no, and biomedicine, and it's good because all of that has to help us to improve our experience, but we can't forget that it's a human experience. So what I think is nice about this project is it is starting thinking about biomedicine, then psychology, but now we realize that it's also a sociological project, and it's about how, as a society, we want to deliver our babies, how they are going to arrive to this world, because it's not the same arriving to the world because it's your time and you decided to be born, as because you got all connected to many things and all these chemicals started and rush your birth. No, it's not the same, and we have to decide as a society. And I think this is nice that it has become from one extreme of science to the other side of social science, and we cover all.
It feels like, yeah, it's a real transdisciplinary kind of approach to looking at this, I suppose. And in one hand, it seems that you're trying to reduce the stigma around postpartum depression and the PTSD that can be involved with giving birth and bringing a person into the world. And yeah, having these conversations to make sure that people know that they're not alone when it comes to these mental health issues, but also trying to co-evolve kind of safeguards and practices to try and reduce the incidences of this occurrence, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, we have technology for when it's needed, no? And we have all the knowledge and experience for when it's needed. It's just, yeah, try to use it, no? Like you wouldn't use a bomb to I don't know, to try to kill a fly. No, it's not a very good comparison, but it's like sometimes you have to measure what you have. It's like okay, we have all these resources and they are really good, but we cannot use them as something regular, like there is no questioning, just all of them go. We can do cesarean sections, of course, but one of the findings we have is half of the mothers who've been through a cesarean section, they don't feel they have given birth. So half of them. So if you do a cesarean section, it's because it's really needed, not because it's your timing, your schedule, because your hospital need, or at least if you decide to do that, you need to know what the consequences for the mother are, because then you are not choosing this over the mother, and then we can say, okay, yeah, and this needs to be studied. The problem is there is a very little data about all of this, because the hospital, at least in Spain, hospitals keep some of this information, how the birth was. They don't keep record of how the mother felt about it. And so if we don't have data, then we cannot investigate and we cannot improve something. So I think it's important that we use the technology for what is needed and not overuse it.
So I suppose now you have all this additional data from, was it over 400 participants on the survey? And yeah, you've been able to collect this data and process it. I was just wondering if you could talk about, because from this, I believe the OBSCO project came up with 4 proposals, and I was just wondering how you came up with, yeah, how you kind of streamlined this into these 4 proposals and how this data has been used to create these ideations, I suppose.
Yeah, we have, as you were mentioning, 4 proposals. One is a postpartum meeting between mothers and professionals to get feedback, to be able to guarantee a closure process and collect this data. No, we've been talking about this a lot. There is not a meeting after you've delivered. And for example, if we talk about cesarean section, is the only surgery that surgeons don't see the patient again after they've done it. And in this case, someone who's been under a cesarean section, it is a patient because it's an operation. It's not a natural birth anymore. So it's amazing that they don't visit this mother. They don't know anything about what happens. They don't follow up. So this is one thing that it's important, and not just for people who got cesarean section, for all mothers who give birth, you need a follow-up. You need to see that, you need to close. It's been a very big important moment, and you need all this data. If not, it's impossible to improve. So this is one of the proposals. Another one is, you were saying as well, we need more information, we need to know more. Well, including sexual and reproductive health in the school curriculum, developing new and effective educational resources also was seen as something important, because at least in Spain, what we do at a school about human reproduction is very little. We do about mammals, of course, in biology, or we work a little bit about emotions, but interviewing people recently, they've written books and all about these topics. They say our education is more focused on not getting pregnant than in getting pregnant. And so we know a lot how to avoid pregnancy, but okay, and what about when you want to have a baby? Then we also need to know that, and from very little. I have a 2-year-old daughter, and she asked me questions about, no, when I have my period, what's going on here, mom, or what is this? So we need to introduce this as a normal thing. Then increasing women's health issues communication through media, podcasting, etc., like we are doing now. No, we are talking about this topic, or at La Mandarina at the moment, we are doing a podcast that talks about all the process of birth, no, from getting pregnant to delivering. Well, there are topics that they are not so common, no? In movies, it's either like a cartoon because it's really fast in the car, blah, 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 and it's not real, or it's idealized, like it's not real either. And we need to talk about giving birth because it's the way we exist in this world. So more pregnant women need to be around. We need more reference novels and things that talk about that. And then fostering spaces where mothers could gather and experience peer-to-peer learning beyond the health system. In the past, motherhood was a social thing, no? Because you had your mother, but your neighbor, your sister, and you live that experience in a group, in a community. Nowadays, we live in cities that we are more isolated. No, our mom lives 2 hours away from us. If it's close, because probably lives farther, our neighbor doesn't talk to us. So this is a problem, because then this increases fear before delivery, and this makes us more vulnerable. So we need this peer-to-peer learning, a little bit more of women issues in the cultural sector.
I found that so interesting just because, just on a couple of the points, in a previous life, I did my teacher training as a science teacher, and I remember doing sex ed with some of the slightly older kids. And yeah, one of the methods of not getting pregnant was not having sex, and it was kind of like, Yeah, I suppose it
Yeah.
kind of is, but it always felt like the analogy of like, yeah, one way of not choking is not eating a little bit. It's kind of
Yeah,
like, it's
exactly.
not useful advice. Uh,
No,
but
not at all. And yeah, and that's a little bit how we do it. And I know it's for older generations, no, for teachers might be a bit scary because we weren't trained that like that. So how we are going to talk about something we weren't trained? But maybe if we can develop the resources, if we can train teachers, then it can be normalized. We weren't trained either to mention women in science, and now we are used to. We know that they were scientists who were women as well, and and it's not a strange thing. And at least when I was taught, it was not Newton's, Galileo, and but I don't even think I heard about Marie Curie. But now we know there are many, many more.
That's so interesting. Yeah. And I love the work that you're doing with, I don't know, just getting the topic out there. As you say, you've been doing these podcasts and doing this outreach, but also growing a community which seems to be, yeah, more willing to talk about uh, the lived experiences of people who have just given birth, I suppose. And I was just wondering, yeah, how that's kind of transforming the area of research, I suppose.
Well, I was very surprised with the community, and I'm very, very happy because I feel very, no, very protected or very well accompanied. When we started, we didn't know. We thought women mothers would join us because when we interviewed some of the mothers, we saw that it was no, it was anger on them. There was the need to talk about it because one of the therapy processes is explaining your birth experience. So there was this need to talk, but we weren't so sure about professionals because it looks like you are criticizing their job when you are not. You are trying to make them do a better job. But we were quite insecure about that. And now after a year, I'm very happy because we got over 400 answers, but also we have a smaller like group or community of mothers, obstetricians, and psychologists that help us to do many things. Like, for example, we are meeting this week in 2 days because we are analyzing again the survey we send, no? Because we know there is a lot of rich information, 85 questions, sorry. It's a lot of information. So they are helping us with the analysis, or we are looking for places to perform the co-creation workshops for 2024. And one of the mothers say, look, I have a space here and we can have it for free, and I can contact these mothers. Journalists came and they interview us for the radio, and they also volunteered to go to the radio. And some of the obstetricians, they help us looking for conferences, and they say, look, you could apply for this one, I'm sure you'll have a presentation. And all these, no, like, you don't feel alone. You feel like, in fact, we've been working so much because there are all these conferences, all these people that they want to join us, and it feels good. It feels like, I don't know, there is something that you need to go on working on it because these people are counting on you, and they really want that we make a difference. So yeah, there is a big group, well, or a group of people that they are very keen on, and they are supporting us a lot.
Feels like the real essence of citizen science, really, just everyone contributing however they can and showing a real eagerness to be involved in the whole process. And yeah, that just sounds fantastic. I wanted to, yeah, follow up on that thought, just sort of like, yeah, from the work you've done over the last, well, for the first 6 months of the project, and now you're still part of, obviously, the project would carry on without Impetus, but you are still with the Impetus family and our second cohort of the accelerator. I was just wondering, what kind of policy briefs or recommendations have you managed to put towards changing practices of obstetric kind of practices, either locally or EU level, and how you hope to develop the project further?
Well, we believe childbirth protocols should include women's point of view, and it also should be personalized. You know, each woman is different and they might need different things. So all of us should be listened to, but each one should be able to choose within the possibilities you have at that moment, no? And we've been talking about this with the Catalan government. They are working at the moment in the path of obstetric violence, and we've been in conversations with them. Of course, the changes are not fast, and I can't say, okay, this this has been improved 100%, but it's true that being in conversation with the Catalan government makes us happy and thinking that we have chances to go on. On the other hand, as I already mentioned, we believe it's key to collect and obtain data. And in that sense, we are working with the UPC University, the Polytechnical of Catalonia. And we are also trying to make a big data analysis working with the health department in Catalonia. And this is going slow, but like the idea is, okay, let's do something with what we already have and try to make this new protocol to collect more data and better data, and then compare and improve and go on. And in that sense, I'm also optimistic, because I think if there is the will to improve this, we'll be able to implement protocols of a postpartum meeting with the collection of data. I don't think it's that impossible, and I've seen obstetricians willing to do that. So in that sense, I think that would change policies. Having protocols always helps. Sometimes it's scary that if we make a protocol, and there will be no exceptions, and we are not thinking about a protocol with no exceptions, but we think this protocol of this new meeting will help us a lot to go on. And at the moment, we are trying to get support from hospitals, from the municipality, as you said, from the Catalan government, because health is more organized in the Catalan. And in Spain, each autonomy has like a little bit of independence on the health system. So we are working a lot on the Catalan one. But of course, we want to go to Spain. We collaborate with Menina. It's also a project that won IMPETUS grant the first year. And they are also working in their cases about pregnancy, not deliveries. But we work in collaborations since we met in IMPETUS. And we are trying to scale up as much as we can.
It's always nice to hear that there have been collaborations between the Impetus accelerators and the other projects. And I suppose part of being involved with the accelerator has been the funding and the training obviously is one part of it, but also the cross-pollination of ideas with other similar projects, I suppose.
Yeah, for us, it's been very important meeting other teams and also traveling together, because we were lucky to present together in the Citizen Science for Health conference. Well, presenting in conferences also helps you to see how citizen science is going, how is it going for health, which is our topic, getting to know other people who are working in similar aspects also improves the research question, because you find little spots. Okay, we have identified this and that, but we didn't see this little bit here. And also it's good because although they work on pregnancy, there are some overlapping, not a lot, but a little bit. And we realize that this overlapping is equal for both of us, which also reassures you, okay, we are in the good track, because they are looking at the beginning, we are looking at the end, and the parts in the middle, they are the same. So we might be looking well. And yeah, for sure, meeting other people, it's been for us one of the big of the big resources that Impetus has given to us.
No, that's fantastic to hear. What have been some of the main challenges that you faced during the project, or you foresee coming up in the further development of the project, I suppose? And I don't know, have you thought about how you might want to address them yet?
Yeah, I think for us, we had two big challenges. On one hand, or the first one was how to reach migrant women. We had very little time, 6 months is not a lot. And we know it's harder for them because sometimes they don't even speak the language fluently. So if speaking the same language, sometimes they don't listen to you. If you don't speak the same language, I'm sure they hardly listen to you. So that was one of the challenges, but reaching these women is not easy because you need more time and patience. You have to trust you have to win their trust because sometimes they don't know you. They don't know what do you want to do with this information. It's personal information. So the first year was a bit hard. We got some people who weren't from Catalonia. Either they were from other parts of Spain or they were from other parts of Europe. But for example, this year we are happy that we've been in conversation with the women who are from Brazil. No, and in this case, they do speak Portuguese, well, Portuguese, Brazilian. And we've been doing some interviews with these women and seeing the points, the differences, the difficulties of the language. And I think this is something we can get, but we need to be on the track for longer to get these communities. And this is one of the big challenges to make this project for all women, wherever their origin is or the language they speak. And on the other hand, another big challenge is to include perinatal professionals, no? Because we try not to be seen as enemies, but partners, no? It can be easy for them to see, oh, they are criticizing our work and they don't know that much about our work. And we are not looking for that. No, humanity has evolved, has changed. There are things that we used to do that we don't do anymore. And we don't see, no, like Romans were killed just for fun. No, they were killing Christians because, well, it was fun to see how someone was killed. And now we wouldn't allow that. It would be impossible to have a show where you kill a human being. Well, this happens, no? As we grow older as a human being, as a society, we realize that things have to be changed. Slavery doesn't make any sense anymore, and gender bias doesn't make sense anymore. Women are half of the population. Women's health issues are as important as male health issues. In fact, if you know nothing about women's body, then you don't know the science properly. You know half of the science, and the science you know is not correct. So we are not doing it to criticize anybody. We know it's a systemic violence. It's not someone being evil and deciding, I'm not going to listen to you. It's been the system that has decided that, oh, they know nothing about what they need, because women have been infantilized, no, like be treated like a child. And sometimes we could treat children better too, but sometimes no, as a woman, it's like, oh, you don't know enough what you need. And of course you do. At least you know what you would like to. Then it can be something that suddenly changes the situation. But even though it's like when you do a will, you don't know how you're going to die, but still you decide, okay, I want this to go there. And so there are things you don't know, but you can still predict or be aware of how you would like to. So that was a big challenge. And I think we solved it trying to talk about service design research, not so much about obstetric violence, and focusing more on how we are going to improve this, together, because you are part of. If you are not in my project, then my project is not going to be as good as it could be.
Mm-hmm. That just reminds me, I remember last year, I think, I was reading the book Invisible Women, and there was a big part of that where they talked about how a lot of medical research just omits women because they're too confusing, was sort of the crib notes of it, just sort of like this fluctuations of hormones giving birth, and yeah, they were just omitted from a lot of research. So yeah, it's just very interesting to hear that. Yeah, we are bringing them more into the picture, and yeah, it's, as you say, it's half the population that's, or around half the population that, yeah, we just don't have the full picture of, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah, I recently I went to a conference. I like it a lot. There was this researcher from the Valencia University, and she said it's not gender bias, it's just wrong science. I absolutely agree. Is if you take out some things because it's too confusing, then you are not doing proper science. And it's true that as a physicist, I'm very used to models, no? That we model reality and in a perfect sphere that doesn't exist. But when you're talking about health and you have different types of reaction towards health, you need to know both, because if not, it can
Exactly,
be
yeah.
it can be risky as well. You can be performing something is not good for that type of people.
Mm. I suppose coming to the end of the interview, I suppose. So I just wanted to learn a little bit more about, yeah, what are the future directions or the expansions that you're planning for the OBSCO project?
This year, thanks to IMPETUS and also the Barcelona City Council, we are working on new co-creation sessions to design this new postpartum meeting protocol that it's going to be used for getting feedback, closure, and that data. So we're working on those co-creation workshops. We are also running an international educational hackathon to co-develop educational resources based on sexual and reproductive health education. And the idea is to call for teachers and sexologists and obstetricians, psychologists, educators, not all these type of people, and put them together in groups. We are doing that online using platforms like Whereby and Miro and being all not like a small Europe is so big, or it's big for us, but making it smaller, being able to work together on these educational resources. And then, as I mentioned, we are producing a new season of Transmedia Lab Mandarina podcast, which is our film podcast, and this year is based on birth. You can hear it in Spotify. And for the next year, 2025, we are planning to explore some synergies with the Barcelona City Council to work on the fourth proposal, fostering spaces where women can meet. And I was even imagining a women living lab, a place where women could work on topics related to science that it's addressed to them, with the care that in the future this should be normalized. I'm okay with a period where we have our space to work, but in the future, if we do it well, male and female topics should be treated alike. It's just for a period of time to be on the same level. It'd be nice to have this women living lab. And as well, we are also trying to look for scale the project to a European level, and we are now looking for partners who want to build up with us. So if someone feels that they would like to go on working with motherhood, deliveries, postpartum, mental health, physical health, and gender issues, we are here to collaborate.
That's perfect. And yeah, a nice call to action at the end. And we'll include some of the links and some of the ways for other projects to get in touch on in the description and stuff. So that's my final question, I suppose. So I just wanted to give you the opportunity is there anything else you'd like to mention before we call the conversation to a close?
Well, you can find the work we've done in the website, obstetriccoevolution.eu. You can also find what we've done, the reports and the results in Zenodo. It's open to the public. And as we were saying, we would love to work in collaboration. So we are looking for other teams to collaborate with us. And we're really, really looking forward to improve the science, to make it more inclusive, to have, as this researcher said in the Valencia University, make this science correct. We want to introduce what's happening to women, included in the knowledge we have, co-evolve these obstetric practices, because they are very, very important. All of us have been born, so all of us will get some part of the results of this. So I think it's very, very important for all humankind.
A common good for everyone, I suppose. Like everyone has at least that in common. I just wanted to say thank you very much for joining me. It's been such an interesting conversation.
Thanks a lot, and thanks for inviting me.
Okay, bye for now.